good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the We the Locals podcast. My name is Josie.
I'm Jessica.
And we got Stu pushing the buttons in the corner. Hi, Stu.
Hello.
And we thank you so much for joining us tonight. We know you have a lot of options for learning about the things going on around you, and so we appreciate you taking the time to hear what we might have to say. If you could also like, share, and subscribe to this episode as well as to this channel, we'd really appreciate it. If you would like to share it out, maybe grab that share button and send it out to a few friends, family, neighbors, whoever. Enemies. Yeah, all good. You know, whoever pops into your mind and thinks, yeah, they would like to listen to these ladies yap for a while. Please do that. And if you'd like to support our channel, you can do that as well. Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to talk all things local. It's kind of a weird time right now.
It is
it's like a calm before the storm.
Yeah, so it's like this is kind of like the calm before the storm is a perfect way to put it, because this is where it's like you have all the campaigns that have kind of dispersed and they're all doing their little things trying to get those last little bit of votes. We have election day 1 week away. So today
a week from today
is August 11th that we're recording, and this is going to drop on Friday. And then next Tuesday we'll know who the winners are.
So there's still early voting. So if you're watching this on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, there's still early voting going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then there's no voting Monday,
right?
And then you have to vote on Tuesday. And if you're voting, and we'll go over this at the end too, but if you're voting for early voting, you can vote anywhere in Palm Beach County.
Yep.
But if you vote on election day, you have to vote at your polling location, usually in your neighborhood, very close to you. So make sure you know where to vote so that
everybody should have gotten their new voter ID cards in the last couple weeks.
That's
so
true.
If you got election mail and you threw it out thinking that it was, just junk, it wasn't. It was your voter ID card.
Which tells you where you vote, what your precinct is, and all of your different number districts.
Yes. But if you go to votepalmbeach.gov, you can find all of the SOE information. You can look on where the polling places are, where your precinct is. You could look up your voter registration, all of that kind of stuff. So if you did throw that out, you can still vote.
Well, yeah. And you don't need to bring your voter ID card to vote either. You just need a photo ID.
That's right.
Because we are a photo ID state. Okay. So get out and vote. If you're not sure still who to vote for in the primary, I don't know what to tell you, because I still have a few races I'm not sure of either. Vote your conscience. Do your research.
Well, there's a couple things. So Byron Donalds is coming into town.
Oh, he is?
Yes, I think he's coming into town the 16th, if I'm not mistaken. So you
Yeah, Embassy Suites in Boca.
He's going to be at the Embassy Suites in Boca, and then he's also doing one in at the Hilton, I think, which is a separate event. So there is opportunities. You do have to register. I don't have the links or anything, but there are opportunities to see Congressman Byron Donalds, who's running for governor. We did have the pleasure of meeting and speaking with Jay Collins. He actually came for a meet and greet and had the pleasure of asking him a few questions, which was very interesting. Very nice guy. And I really like him a lot. And like I have told people, when it comes to the governor's race, whether it's Donalds, whether it's Collins, whether it's Renner, those really seem to be the top three that's going on in the polling. So we're pretty sure it's going to be one of those three. And I'm telling anybody, if any of those three win, we're going to be in good hands. I think Florida is going to be well taken care of. Personally, I like Jay. I think he's a nice guy, and he's someone I know I think I could call and be like, this is a problem that we have, come help, and he'll get in the mud and help you fix it. Where I think Donalds would be more like, oh, call this person, this person, this person, and then maybe they'll help you. And that's kind of the difference that I see. So but do your research, more than anything. And what a lot of people don't understand about the primary process is that the party doesn't pick the candidates, the voters do. The voters do. So it's up to the, and one of the things that I see, because I spend a lot of time online because of some of the things that I do, and the comments and things that I see is like, we can't, who do we vote for? Where do we find information about the candidates? And it's like, Well, that's kind of up to you. You're supposed to figure that out.
Yes.
It's not up to the party to give you that information. It's up to the party to give you that information after August 18th.
Yes.
And tell you, hey, this is our slate of candidates that we're going to put up against the Democrats in November, and this is the reason why you should vote for them. That's when the party gets involved. So the primary process, people get confused and people get really mad at the party because they want to dictate the rules, and they're like, why does the party allow so many people into the race? And why does
It's
the party
a free
do this?
country, guys. It's a free country.
Why does the party do this? Why does the party do that? And the thing of it is that you can run for office without being involved in the political party at all. And you can still run in a partisan race under that party.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do not know that.
Yeah, you
and
can
they
be a
do not
registered
understand that.
Republican and run for any office that's a Republican office.
Yeah, you don't have
Like,
to go and ask questions. You don't
have to ask permission
Yep.
from the REC or the party heads or the RPOF or anything like that. Now, does it help?
Yes.
Not the REC, but the RPOF?
Yes.
Yes. But you don't have to.
No.
So
No.
it's you. Anybody can run. The process of running is either signatures or money. That's about it, and some time to fill out your paperwork.
Yeah. And, as far as, the party goes, is that we do our best to try to contact the candidates, before they file, like other people are running in this race. Please call them. Please have a conversation before you jump in. We do our best in the party apparatus to try to make sure that we have the least contested races as possible. But when you have those sexy Congress seats, especially with the redistricting.
Oh yeah, baby, let's roll, baby, roll.
Everybody wants to be involved, and so
I'm so tired of it. I cannot wait for it to be over.
I know.
The amount of texts that I got Monday, like my phone was just blowing up from just campaign texts from candidates, and I was like, oh my gosh, like,
yeah,
it was frustrating. That was part of that is because I haven't voted yet either, and I know hopefully, and that's always like from like working a campaign side of things. I like to strategically vote at a certain point in the cycle, so then I can see if I still get the text messages. I know that they're using bad data.
Yeah.
And it tells me kind of like, who knows what they're doing? Who doesn't? Did I vote the right way?
I know. It's so funny because it's like my biggest pet peeve is candidates that don't know what they're doing. And because we've experienced in the past, and when I tell you this story, you're going to go, oh, I know why. But the candidates, when they don't know what they're doing, and my favorite was there was a school board candidate. I think it was school board 6, if I'm not mistaken, but it doesn't matter. Any candidate that just doesn't really know what they're doing, going out and putting out lawn signs and then getting mad because people are stealing their signs.
Oh, no, it wasn't school board.
It was school board.
Oh, this happened. Oh, this year. This year?
This year.
In the year of our Lord now? Oh, because I know that happened in 22 where they got mad that they were taking their signs from polling locations when it wasn't election day.
Right.
When she was putting them at polling sites that will be polling sites on election day, but they weren't polling sites during early voting. And she kept getting mad that they were like private property. Like essentially she's going to put signs on private property that's not the public. Wait, so someone did this during the last cycle?
So this one, this was recently. This was just a few weeks ago. It was a candidate. It was not a Republican candidate. It wasn't anybody that we like or support. That it was in the median, and they're like, you have to like run across the road to be, and this, so this was on Facebook. So she's like complaining on Facebook that people are stealing her signs and that, people donate to my campaign and they work hard for their money. And these people are just stealing money from hard earned, because
she was putting them on the public right of way.
She was putting them in the public right of way, right in the median where you cannot put them. And I couldn't help but share the post and make my comments known of like, well, instead of, finding somebody to get mad at, you should look at yourself and read the campaign guidelines of where you can put signs.
Where you can put signs. It's actually making me a little kooky because I keep seeing signs in the wrong places in Boca. And they used to be so crazy about like, I've had my sign. I put my sign. I knew nothing. I look at myself when I campaigned and I was like, oh, sweet child.
But don't you say to yourself, if I would have known a little bit more, I would have been.
Yes, and if someone would have told me, like we tell candidates, I would have listened to them. Right. I would have been like, oh, okay, good to know. Appreciate the time. I would have been like, don't care, doing whatever I want. Anyway, So I'm seeing signs in like, you know, I'm like, who puts the signs here? This is a dangerous spot to put a sign. Like, what were we doing? Like, middle of the night? Like, like, what's happening? There's signs on like there's like a fishback sign. And it drives me nuts because his signs look like, he tried to make his signs look like the Florida, like, bubbly letters. But all I can think are rotten fish whenever I see them. And it's just like, that's all I can think about when I see his signs, and they're annoying me. Like, it's annoying me really badly. And there's what's his name signs everywhere that they're not supposed to be. And I've reported a couple. Yeah. Like I'm that person at this point, because I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to follow the rules and you're going to annoy my city, like putting your signs everywhere, it's ugly. Like, I pay a lot of money to live in this city. I don't want to see your sign here.
Well, I always find it funny because it's like they stick it, so it will be private property, right? So somebody got permission to put their sign up, and then all of a sudden you see all these little signs underneath it. So they think, like, because there's a big sign there, oh, little signs can go here underneath it. And it's like, no. If it's private property,
you can't do that.
You have to ask permission.
Yes, you do.
And good candidates that know their communities, know the business owners of the properties and develop those relationships and have asked for support. So if you're just sticking a sign up there thinking that that's going to get you support, it's actually kind of deceitful.
Yeah. And sometimes it backfires.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people see a sign next to a property that they don't like, and they're like, oh, that person's supporting him, I'm not voting for them. It's such a weird world that we live in. It's been like, 6 years, and I still question, how did I end up here on a regular basis? Like,
I know, I'm like sitting at a thing, and like, you know, Jay Collins, Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins is like a table away from me, and I'm like directly asking him a question that he's answering, and I'm just kind of, and I had that same thought.
Oh, I have it. I was
like, this is my life. This is what I do.
This is weird. It's weird. I know. I was at an event where there was a lot of like legislators and legislators. Sorry, I can't talk tonight. And I was like, what am I doing here? How did I get here? What happened? Anywho,
so
this might as well happen.
Yeah. So a couple things going on election wise that people should be aware of is the race for the primary for District 92 was canceled. Is
it Republican side, right?
Yeah. So there were two Republicans running. One of them dropped out. So then that's not.
So his name's still on the ballot, but he will not.
It won't
win.
count.
It won't
so
count.
Automatically, the Steve Byers, who's gonna be the Republican in that seat, then goes on to November. So even if he lost, you know, if somebody marks in the ballot and they mark for the other guy, Steve still wins. He still is going to be at the November.
92 is who?
Skidmore, Kelly Skidmore.
Oh, she's a piece of work, man.
She is.
Like,
she is.
Dude, again, I was at a candidate forum put on by Cobra last week, and they did all of the different office races, like forum, and they just asked questions. And dude, like, some of the things she said, I was like she's like hardcore partisan, hardcore partisan. She's like very anti-school choice. She was like coming after the vouchers. She was like, she's incredibly pro-abortion. Like, she was like straight up, like, just saying things that I was like,
kill those babies.
Yeah, basically, I was like, the lightning bolts coming down. It's like, where? Like, oh my gosh. Like, it was intense. I was like, wow, okay.
If there's not, there should be.
Yeah. I was like, okay. Anyway, so good luck. Yeah. But
you know, I think for the first time, these Democrats are really going to have to campaign here. And so it's going to be very interesting how voters actually respond to their campaigning. Because if you think about it, they haven't had to do that. So
I don't think she's had an opponent.
No.
Ever.
Since 22. Dorcas ran against her.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dorcas ran against her.
Right.
So she hasn't had an opponent since 22. So she got, and I don't think she had one before that. So she got elected in 20 with no opponent, I think. Don't quote me on that. 22 with no 24. She didn't have an opponent. Wow.
No. So she's kind of, and then now she's going to be termed out. This will be her last term that she's able to have. And so, but, you know, her, and then Tina Polsky dropped out. You know, like she's not running for reelection. And
No, so Lauren Book's running for that seat.
Right. And so it's like you've got some pretty prominent, you know, Lori Berman's not running for anything, you know, so it's like
she's not going on for anything. That's true.
Yeah,
she's
so
termed
like
out and she's not going out for anything else.
You have some of these, you know, well-established Democrats, but in the most part is a lot of these Democrats do play the middle line. They actually do moderate politics pretty decent. And so now they can't live in that space
No, because the Democrat Party is eating itself.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
wholesale.
So it's like very funny because it's almost like, well, are they stepping away because they don't like where their party's headed? Or, you know,
These are good questions. If you would like to weigh in, please let us know. If you are a Democrat watching, we're very curious.
You know, so, I mean, and then you have Lois Frankel, who hasn't had to campaign in a decade, is actually having to campaign.
She's got a primary.
She's got a formidable candidate that's running against her.
It's a he, right?
She.
It's a she. Is she a DSA
Is she
candidate?
what?
Is she a Democrat Socialist of America candidate?
She's more progressive than Lois is.
So she's DSA.
Yeah.
So she's part of the Democrat takeover of the DSA takeover
I would say
of the
yes.
Democrat Party.
I can't speak for her campaign, but based on what I've heard and what I've heard from her, and she's gone up to the county commission and spoke a couple times during public comment, and she's atrocious. She's just, you know, she puts her finger in the face and she's just kind of nasty. And the thing that works for Lois is she's the grandma. She's always smiling. She's giving hugs. She's, hi, how are you? You know, where this Victoria Doyle has none of that.
Okay.
None of
well,
that.
but
So it's
see,
very
they're all,
interesting.
I don't know. The national political stage is getting crazy.
Yes.
Crazy. I mean, like, not a lot's happening right now here because it is a lot's happening, but it's all like in these little silos. But like, I mean, it is there. We do have DSA candidates that are here. We've got the guy running against Jared Moskowitz is for the primary, for the Democrat primary, is like a hardcore leftist, like hardcore DSA, like Democrat Socialist of America leftist. I got a text from him.
Oh.
Yeah. So I responded because I liked it because it costs them money and it just gives me a mild sense of satisfaction to cost them the like 2 cents or whatever it is to respond. So, because I'm like, are you freaking bad data, dude? Like, I can't even vote for you. Like, even if you convinced me somehow with your really silly little message, like, I can't even vote for you. Like, I don't know who's running that campaign, but
it's very interesting because the messaging has been all over the place.
It's all over the place
with candidates too. I mean, we have some candidates that are kind of bashing each other, and you know, we've done our best as a party to try to nip that in the bud the best that we can, but there's no stopping it. But it's like I tell candidates that choose to go negative, you're only hurting yourself. So if that's what you choose to do, go for it. If you think that that's going to win you voters, by all means. You may make their numbers go down, but they're not going to vote for you either. They're going to vote for the third option.
Right. See, here's the thing. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
And so, and especially for, see, there's this thing too where I've had people ask me, like, you know, who do you recommend? And and I was like, so there's a fine line between it's good to get to know the candidates and know who they are, and then also knowing too much about them is sometimes a problem. Like, after I've like met some candidates for too long or heard certain things or interacted with them in ways that most of the public doesn't get to, I'm like, no, I don't think so. And so it's kind of a weird little like anyhow, I'm not gonna name any names, but yeah, it does make it, and so there it does give, like it's hard. It makes it harder for the candidates too because the voter can be like, don't like you. You're arguing with each other. I'm going to go with the third one.
Yep. And I just think, I mean, this is a pattern that we have seen here locally, you know, for the last 5 years, that if you go negative, it does not work well for you in the polls. It just, when it comes to voting at the polling locations, you know, people just don't like it. And so I find it very interesting when these candidates, especially when they've repeated or ran many times, and they go and they do these negative ads, you know, against their Republican opponent, and they don't realize what a damage that does to the brand. Mm-hmm. And I put it into this perspective is that the Republican is kind of like, you know, the Republican primary is like the preliminary fight between, before you have to go beat the big guy. And so you're going to get the snot kicked out of you, and you're going to be bloody and bruised and it's our job to fix it and to make you look pretty again. So when you go too far where we can't make you look pretty again,
especially in a very tiny window of time, like I think people also need to realize, like basically the primary ends on the 18th or 19th, August 18th. My brain's, I keep thinking like the 19th because that's when like next campaigns kick off. So the 18th, then the vote by mail ballots are going to start dropping the middle of September. A month, maybe 5 weeks later, we're going to start getting vote by mail ballots for the general election. So it is a very short turnaround time for window of turnaround time. And shoot, I was going to say something about the going negative thing. No, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Well,
it's been I feel like it should be like Thursday. It's been a very, very busy 2 days. And I'm like, I feel like my brain's rinsing out just a little bit, but I'll remember. It'll come to me. It's fine.
We depend on when we get through that primary election, that then the party goes after Republicans and we encourage Republicans to vote for our preferred candidate. It's then up to the candidate to go after those soft leaning Dems or those NPAs to be able to actually win. It's our job as a party to get out the vote. It's up to the candidate to actually win those voters over and get them to vote for them regardless of what their party affiliation is. Yeah. Because as we've talked about here on this show, for the last 3 years, is the fact is that right now in Palm Beach County, you cannot win unless you pick up the majority of the MPA vote.
Yeah, and some soft Democrats.
Yeah.
And if you go, so it's a fine line. And this is why we keep saying like Trump endorsed candidates don't do well in Palm Beach County, because in the general election. Yeah. There hasn't been a single one who's won a general election who's a Trump endorsed candidate. And that's because it's a purple county. It's a third, which used to be a solid blue county. So getting there.
We're getting there.
Getting there. But you have to be able to, like you've said many times, like even our Republicans are middle of the ground Republicans, especially like in this area here where we, in the South County and in the western parts of the county, they're just want to live their lives and they want to vote for the best person with the best message. And I think that that's also very important in that. Here's what I was going to say. Now I remember. Understanding, getting past the noise of a campaign and the arguing and stuff is very important, because I read an article in one of the Boca newspapers, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, that said, is it time for a new comprehensive plan in Boca Raton? Now, when I ran in Boca 6 years ago, almost 5 years ago, holy cow, 5 years ago, the platform that I ran on was rewriting the comprehensive plan, because what has been happening in Boca over the last several years, decade or more, has been where they will pull out a little chunk here and give a variance or a zoning change for this project or this project or this project. And so what happens is it suddenly has all these little holes in it, and it's no longer a comprehensive,
contradicting ordinances.
Yes.
That happens when you do that a lot.
And so it's no longer a comprehensive plan. It's just an idea that's now just kind of there that they might follow or they might not follow. And so it needs to be re-looked at, revamped. What do we want for the future? Now we've reached, the plan got us this far. The last plan got us this far. Let's talk to the voters and let's see what talk to the voters and see what they want for the next decade or two for Boca. So this is the platform that I ran on. Of course, all the noise was around, that I hated masks and that I voted for Trump. And like, that was it. That was all the noise. But yet here we are 5 years later, and what I was running on is now being discussed. And the point is, and all that to say, and not that I had a crystal ball, it was an idea that actually someone else gave me that I was like really like thought about and wrestled with and was like, this makes sense. this is a good idea. This needs to happen. And really because I was oscillating on running, like, and that thought, I was like, that's what I want to do to run. So it really did help me decide to make the jump to running. And the point of me saying that is sometimes we do lose really good candidates or really good ideas. And I don't want to say I'm the good candidate, but the good ideas because they gets lost in the noise of the fighting or of the reputation or the way that this happened. And so like if I had run on that platform and all the noise wasn't there of the masks and all that stuff, my voice might have actually been able to be heard and the idea would have maybe brought more voters. Oh my gosh. Wrong. I'm gonna stop there. So to try to encourage you to try to look past the noise of all of the crazy intense emotion that surrounds the campaign process and really try to hear the ideas of what the candidates are saying and what they want to do. Because if their entire campaign platform is built on this person is terrible, this person sucks, I have Trump's not endorsement, and I am a businessman. That's
in America first.
In America first. Then those are not ideas. And I'm going to support Trump all the way. Well, guess what? In 2 years, Trump's not going to be in office anymore. And then what are we going to do? Like, you need to have your own plan of what you want to do when you get elected to the office that you're running for. And if you're not able to articulate that plan and communicate that plan, you don't deserve to be in the office. And so we as voters need to be able to ask them, what is your plan? What's the plan, Stan?
And on that note is that those of us that work with candidates have tried our best to gear them towards like, you need to focus on what's going on in your local issues in your local municipalities and get connected with your vote with the residents in those areas. And you need to understand what their problems are or what they're looking for solutions on, because that's going to be the most important thing. Because you know, in 2020 and before, you could have ran on, you know, a message or a couple things written on a sign, you know, that
a slogan.
It could
hope and change. Pretty sure that's how we got Obama, was literally hope and change. It was a slogan.
Exactly.
Terrible ideas.
Yes.
Actual terrible governance. Actual like destroying of the country level ideas. But hope and change.
Right. And while Republicans are feeding their children, going to work every day, picking their kids up from soccer practice.
Democrats are planning on how to take us down.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I can remember, you know, and I'm guilty. And this is why I sit in this seat and I'm so boisterous and why I do all of the things that I do, because I was so guilty of the fact for, you know, 40 years, I literally sat on the couch and just was like, oh, I guess I'll go vote. Oh, I like this person, you know, like, oh,
they had pretty signs.
They had a nice sign. He had a good family on his sign. You know, I'll vote for them. When really I just wanted to go in there and vote for president or Congress, you know, like I didn't care about anything else, but I probably definitely left some races blank. Like, I'm not voting for this. I don't know. I'm sure I never voted for a judge in my life because I had no idea, you know.
The judges still make me nervous because judges are the hardest to decide on because they have to be so neutral.
Exactly. And then it's hard to find their records and all of that kind of stuff. So the politics has changed so much for us, you know, nationwide, and I think it's such a good thing because it puts our self-governance in the forefront and it makes us responsible. You don't like Democrats in office? Well, it's your fault because you don't vote, you know, or
you vote for bad candidates who can't beat the Democrats.
Correct.
Sorry.
There's no long-term game plan.
No.
You know, it's like
we would have to work together to have that, Jessica.
Well, part of the problem
what are you smoking? I'm just kidding.
Part of the problem is that you have these people who just want to be involved, which I get, and they also want to be paid attention to. And so if you have a candidate that just pays them a little bit of attention, they will go all out for that candidate.
No matter how bad they are.
No matter how bad they are. Like,
and there are some bad candidates and bad people.
Yes.
Bad people. Just because someone is a Republican does not make them a good person. And just because someone's a Democrat doesn't make them a bad person. It might make them a little question. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Question them. And there's been several times I've come across and had conversations with Democrats and go, well, you don't really sound like a Democrat. You actually sound like a conservative. And they're like, yeah, I've been told that before. You know, and it's like, but I can only win if I'm a Democrat.
But here's what's crazy. Like I said, sitting in this forum, there were certain things that some of the Democrats said that I was like, I agree with that. What does that mean for me? Because some of it is just common sense. Like some of them do have the common sense, and I'm like those. And some of and let's be honest, there are a lot of things that are nonpartisan.
Yes.
Like it's very interesting with the property tax, like seeing the differences, and some Republicans are all supportive of property tax amendment and some are not. And some Democrats are very supportive. Some Democrats are not. And so it's like, I'm like, so when a Democrat says something that I agree with, I'm like,
I noticed the ones.
what's happening?
I noticed the people that have the more government knowledge are against it than the people that have zero government knowledge.
Interesting.
And so it's like, if you actually have worked in the government or understand how the government works, you look at this tax amendment and you go, there's some holes here.
We got problems. There's problems.
We have to figure out the and then what questions.
Yeah, they're not asking that.
You know, and that's the problem, is that we've always had this situation where, you know, they don't ask these important
Should have
questions.
named the podcast the and then what question.
You're right. We may have been able to get Dan Bongino on then.
No, we could have been, and then what? Because like that's the thing. I was talking to people out in the wild, like normies, about the property tax thing the other day. I try not to get all like nerd out on stuff. Like there are certain topics I'm like, shh, Josie, shh. Because there's like random things, having worked in the government, like for the little bit of time I did in the commissioner's office, and then now just being around, knowing things, I'm a fountain of sometimes useless information.
Me too.
If you get me going on the wrong topic, like let's talk about canals for a minute. And so, sorry. We had some friends that were visiting from out of town, and I don't know why the topic about canals came up, and I just gave like this whole long like thing on the canals, and they were just like looking at me, and I was like, I'm sorry. It's really too much information for you. Nobody cares.
You mean it's more for than just boats going down?
There's no boats on the canals,
right?
No.
Why not? I don't understand.
The reservoirs and the water moving and the drainage and like all.
That's important. Sorry.
I know, but like, it's just anyway. So I was like kind of trying to not like completely nerd out on the tax amendment, and I was like talking about it a little bit, and so it was just. It was interesting because I like their perspective. They were both like, it seems a little too good to be true. And I was like, well, usually when things are too good to be true, they kind of are. So, right. And you know,
not that this is a bad thing. You know, everybody wants to save money. If you can get an extra, you know, discount on your home price, you know, on your taxes, like. I get it. We're all for it. But again, there's these and then what questions that is going to fill. Which is going to cause holes, which if you do not have the right people in office that can work to be able to navigate this in a respectful and conservative way that will help make sure that we are providing for those that are less privileged, lack of a better word, and those that need to have relief, as far as the fact is that when you own a home, you don't want to continue to rent it from the government.
But I don't look at it. I don't like that statement.
I know, but that is the Republican foundation of where this stems from.
I know, and I hate that statement.
And
I know, I get it. I just think that it's not. I think that. First of all, taxes are as old as time because we live in a collective
We were created as a country because of taxes.
We were created as a country. But like, listen, even in the scriptures, it says rend to Caesar what is Caesar's and rend to God what is God's. Like, it says it in the Bible. Like, it's been the way forever. And that if we live amongst other people, what we are doing, here's what I look at. Here's what I heard someone, I cannot remember who said this, but they basically are saying what taxes are doing is you are collectively outsourcing certain jobs that you don't want to take care of for yourself.
Yep.
So let's take family safety for a minute. Lots of people do protect their families, But we don't arrest the criminals. We want to make sure that if we call, like we need help protecting our family or our property, that someone else is going to do it. So we outsource that by paying someone else collectively to protect our property. We collectively pay for the roads to be nice for us to drive on. We collectively pay for it because we don't want to have to maintain the roads ourselves. I'm not going to go rent a paver and pave my the road on my front street.
But I don't have that option.
You do.
How?
Well, now you don't. Now you don't.
Right.
But that's what we have decided as a society. So if we decide to not do that as a society, we have to have something. What's the question? Who's going to pave the road now? Whose responsibility is it to pave the road?
Well, it's the government's job to pave the road.
Right. But how do they pay for the paving of the road?
They've got to figure it out.
Just money tree?
Well, it must be because they're not getting it from me.
But you drive on the road.
But that's the argument.
I know, which I find ridiculous.
Right.
I'm just saying I find it ridiculous. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. I promise I am 1,000% sober tonight. I'm just like, my brain's really tired. We're getting ready to start our school week next week. So I've been like elbow deep in like curriculum organization and like timelines and planning and stuff. And so my brain hurts. But I find it.
The problem is, okay, so this is what I've realized is what we've gotten here and why we've gotten here is because of the fact that there is not proper legislation to rein in property values. We need a new calculation system when it comes to property values. Because if we did that, then this wouldn't be an issue because of the fact that as, property values and everything increased, there should have been counteractive legislation to be able to see what was predicted and be able to say like, okay, now you're giving some counties so much money that they're just going to spend recklessly. And what happened here in Palm Beach County is the fact that Palm Beach County for the last decade has elected Democrats that screwed away and pissed away your money. That's what's happened for the last decade. And then now Republicans are trying to say like, well, you've been taxed because of your house value and everything. So let's bring that down so that you can keep more of your money. You have more people now in this government that's been created that pushed the can down the road for a decade, Scott Singer or, all of these, Democrats on the city council of Delray or Boynton that have had to fix all of these issues because you allowed Democrats in office for so long.
And they're not.
Stop doing it.
Stop doing it. Exactly.
Because now when Republicans are trying to fix it and say, hey, let's give you back some of your money, but your local governments are going to have to figure this out then.
They're going to have to figure out. But here's the thing. And I agree that I think that whether or not this amendment passes, I think it is really good because it is pushing local governments to really take a look at their budgets and see where they can tighten their belts, which they've needed to do. I also understand the argument. I say a lot of people like talk about online. They're like, well, if I do something to increase the value of my home, I'm not demanding any more services. I'm not getting anything more for the amount of more taxes that I'm paying. So I do think the idea of paying property taxes off of assessed value is really not the way we should be going.
I think it's archaic at this point.
I think it's archaic because I think that if I spend the money to do windows on my house, it's going to bring the property value up a chunk of money. And now I'm paying. Now I know they have tax credits and breaks and blah, blah, blah. But I think that I agree. I think that the way that the taxes are taken need to be looked at. But to just get rid of them altogether is not good because here's the problem too. And this is what I told the moms and I remembered what I was going to say. I wrote it down because I keep we were standing inside of a commercial space that we like pay for fees for our kids to do things. And it's a commercial space. So I said, they said they both were like, but they're going to raise like prices, like they're going to find the money somehow. And I said, exactly what they're going to do is they're going to raise the millage rate on all of these businesses that then are going to be passed on to the renters, which then are going to be passed on to us. So we're going to have to end up paying more in the fees.
It's going to increase inflation.
It's going to increase cost of doing business. It's going to increase cost of restaurants. It's going to increase cost of retail. All of these things are going to increase a lot, like double. Some of these places are going to double the millage rate. The millage rate will be doubled what it is now. And so not that the price that we pay will be doubled, but the millage rate will be doubled. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to, and there's nothing in this amendment that will stop the city of Boca from saying, okay, we're going to be doing a special assessment fee for the next 5 years, and it's going to cost every household $2,000. And so now that goes on your tax bill. There's no recourse for that. Everyone's paying $2,000. So if you're saving $500 or $1,000 a year on your property taxes because of the new amendment, now you're paying the city an extra $1,000. Like, they're going to get their money somehow. So why not keep it how we have it now? So what we know what we're doing and what push them to make better changes to the process.
The thing of it is it's going to be a money shuffle game because that's how the Democrats do things. Unless we elect more Republicans into office locally, and I'm talking about your local municipalities, your county commission, nothing's going to change because they're just going to either tax you out, or they're going to, and the way they're going to do it is they're going to threaten that they're not going to be able to pay for police and fire and that, the homeless is going to be an issue. They are going to scare the crap out of people is what's going to happen. And is what's needed to be done is to have good people, like if we would have gotten Josie in, or if we would have gotten Brian in, or if we would have gotten, more of our county commissioners elected that had, Republican conservative values, we wouldn't necessarily be in this situation because like Boynton Beach, who has kind of changed their commission to being more moderate to right leaning, has now worked through a plan to go to net zero for taxes in the next 5 years. So it's like you have to start thinking ahead, and thank goodness for Commissioner Tom Turkin, because it's part of him going like, this is coming, we need to solve it and we need to figure it out, and I'm not kicking it. I mean, he literally like, we're not kicking this down. We're going to solve this problem and we're going to figure it out. And we're going to figure it out right here on this dais this year before this even happens.
Yeah.
Because
and you got all these like newly elected people in Boca that are like, what's going on?
that are so green and don't know how things work and don't even know how their city charter works or what their comprehensive plan is to be able to make those decisions when you have all of these things coming. And is what's going to happen is because we are a purple county is that we are going to get more MPAs and Republicans elected, and it's going to cause a lot of contention that's going to go on in these cities, and it's not going to go over very well.
It's going to be pretty. Listen, it's very similar, it's to kind of take it national, zoom out and take it nationally for a second too. I mean, it's really hard to look at some of the things that, that Trump is doing or has not done because he's not a king. He can't just go, doom, doom, this is what we're doing.
Yes, he is. They have rallies and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. No king's rally. It's true. He was coronated. Crowned.
I don't know, I thought. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, if we had royalty in the United States, by all means, it would be the Kennedy family, right? That would have been kind of our royalty, if you would have thought about it.
I did read these novels, this novel series one time, that the premise of the novel was that when they offered George Washington the opportunity to become a king, that he took it. Mm-hmm. And the U.S. was what it is today, but royals. And it was a fascinating premise of a book. And I was like, huh. And it was the Washingtons were the royal dynasty. And so it's modern times. And it's so-and-so Washington. He had
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And so since you said that, I felt like it was an interesting premise. The writing was not very good. And the books were not great. But the premise was interesting.
If you had the Kennedys, right, that were royalty, Trump would be the next best royalty there would be. Who would you choose behind that? It's just a stupid premise. It's just so silly.
No, it's so silly.
It's I'm believe me, if he was king, he would not be putting up with you.
No, off with their heads. Off with their heads. I do a terrible Trump impersonation, but it makes me laugh. So, and Jessica. So, makes Jessica laugh.
That's true.
No, so if you zoom out and you see that it's painful to make corrections. It's painful. It hurts. It's like everyone's always like, well, Medicare and Medicaid, and Social Security, well, what are we going to do about it? The truth is they need to go away in order for us to not be $30 trillion in debt. But they're not going to go away because that's too painful.
Right.
And so,
well, it's not only the fact that it's too painful. It's the problem is the way that they set up the system.
Yeah.
Is because you paid into that system.
Right.
And now you're going to tell me that I don't have my money that I paid into? That's a problem. That's theft. Off with their heads.
Yes.
Like, that's how that works.
right. Except for, I mean, I'm fully cognizant of the fact that I will probably never see a dime of the money that I've paid into it. Our whole last
Right.
20 years,
But
because by the time we get to that point,
Right.
there's going to be no money left.
And as the average taxes that you pay beyond your personal inter-community, how does taxes serve you, Josie?
National defense.
Beyond?
That I want serving me. National defense.
That's it, right? Like, that's
Pretty much.
That's really all that it's supposed to do.
National defense and international trade treaties and things like that.
But by doing that, it should bring more money to our pocket and make things less expensive.
Yes.
But that's not how the system is set
No.
up. And the thing of it is that we've taken our eye off the ball for the last 5 decades, and this is why we're in this situation where we can't get out of, because now we're in this world of convenience, right?
Yes.
We love the conveniences of having the police department on this corner. We love the conveniences of the fire department on the corner. We love the conveniences of, having a county or city park or pool or whatever those instances and those things are. We've come accustomed to liking those, and so then when people threaten to take it away, you're willing to pay more.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a game that we all get sucked into because of the way, and Josie and I have said this once we heard this over a year ago now, is that it's like, okay, if you change the way that or you want to lower taxes, but then you're not giving us the ways to be able to assess the taxes that come in and being able to pay for the things that we need.
Right. Well, it's like we've talked. I mean, I saw someone today, a very prominent conservative Florida Republican who's on X, I'm not going to name any names, but has a really big following on X account, not in politics, but just a political X person. And, talking about the property because they posted because I guess Sheriff, what's his name?
Bradshaw?
No, Polk County.
Brady.
Yeah, Grady was talking about property taxes go away, sheriff's budgets are going to have a problem, and this guy reposted it. And he's like, "Oh, please don't let them scare you. Their state has a surplus. The state has plenty of money. The state has plenty of money." And I was like, "My dude." You, of all people, you have a prominent account. You need to know that the state having a surplus of money does not pay for the sheriff's office in the counties. That's not how it works.
Right.
No, that's not how it works. They can't just, if they start sending money to sheriff's offices from the state budget that has a surplus who need money, then my tax dollars are going to pay for the sheriff over in Polk County. Yeah. That's socialism. That's not conservatism. That's not how any of this works. And it just makes me want to rip my hair out. And how do we not, this is a basic concept. How do we not know? And I guess I shouldn't say it's a basic concept. I'm sorry. That sounds probably very insulting. But I'm but for someone who's commenting, has a very prominent platform and commenting on it, I wanted to be but that's not how this works. The property taxes that you pay stay within your county, and then the sales taxes are what go to the state. That's where the surplus might be.
Right.
And that's true. We do have a surplus. And could the state government do things in order that that we're not taxed as much in our counties? Therefore, yes, they absolutely could. But it's not by what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. They're not affecting their budget. They're affecting our budget, our roads. And so that's not how any of it works. Right. And I don't.
And from the state point of view, you look at it, the state's we collect all of this and we're able to do it. Why aren't your county budgets able to work within the same parameters that we are as a state? And there's
unfunded mandates.
Well, there's part of that.
Unfunded mandates.
I did happen to ask that question to Jay Collins.
What did he say?
Is that I was like, with the unfunded mandates that keep getting pushed down from the states, and with the tax reduction, it was the tax amendment question actually. And I said, when you have cities like Haverhill that have over 40% of their homesteaded properties below $250,000, what do you do when those cities become insolvent? And he said, we'll figure it out.
That's not good enough. I'm sorry.
Well, he was like, he goes, this was the thing with DeSantis's bill. There was a fund to kind of,
which I was very much against too.
I was against it. However, it was an opportunity for them to figure it out.
And they did not take it.
And they did not take it. And so that was the thing, is because there is a surplus of the state budget. DeSantis said we have enough money that we can save taxpayers money by, there are a handful of counties or cities that may have an issue, and we'll have to kind of figure that out. But the thing of it is that with Jay answering the question, Lieutenant Governor Collins, whatever you want to call him, is that I was like,
your buddy Jay.
Yeah, my buddy. Is that I was like, I really felt like he was willing to get in the mud with me and help me figure it out. He's like, Jessica, I don't have the answers to your questions. He's like, but these were things that we did foresee, and things that we were like, well, we should do this to make sure that there's no bumps in the road, that all of a sudden these cities or counties don't go insolvent. I think is it Liberty County that has it won't have any property tax. Like, everybody is below $250,000.
They don't have any commercial.
And they don't have any commercial. Parkland is another one, a very wealthy city. But if their homesteaded property goes down, like, they don't have any commercial properties to lie on. Now, granted, their property, you're not going to find a property in Parkland for less than $250,000.
Nope.
But it is going to take cut heavily drastic into their tax.
And they're not going to have the ability to tap into the commercial.
Correct.
I don't know. I actually don't think it's going to pass.
I would be very shocked if it does not pass.
I don't know, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of questions, and especially with the...
I think when it comes down to I get to save money off of my taxes, I'm going to take it.
It's possible. We'll see.
I think there's going to be people like you and I that are going to be like, is it really worth it? Is it necessary? Now, I can't say anything because I don't own property right now. I rent.
But that's going to affect your rent.
But
your rent's going to...
Of course.
Because...
But also with the fact right now, my rent has been able to raise at 10%. According to this, it only will raise by 5%.
What do you mean?
Because the commercial goes down from 10% to 5%.
Yeah. I don't know, though.
And the thing of it is I did really want to ask Lieutenant Governor Collins about, well, you're basically shifting the rights of the people to businesses and commercial properties, because now we have less stake in our vote. But I didn't get a chance to get to that question. I was cut off. So
maybe we'll ask it of Donald's.
Yeah.
If he does a Q&A.
So it's going to be very interesting of how this comes out. And, we did have some wins. I do want to kind of talk before we finish up, is that we did have a big win with an executive order with Trump yesterday with vaccines. Those of us like Josie and I mean, I've been in this fight for 30 years, 25 years. Of making sure that vaccines were not mandated. And that was because everybody is different, and you do not know if you are allergic to something until it's already in your body and you can't take it out. And that was my biggest fear, my biggest complaint, my biggest argument, and not a single doctor would be willing to fight with me on it. Because every time I would be like, how do you know my child's not allergic to that?
And they were like, we don't.
Well, how are you going to know? We won't. Well, it's required. So you're telling me she could be allergic, but I have to do it because the government tells me that I do. Yes. No. See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye. Yep.
And so
pretty much what happens.
Thankfully, Florida has had a religious exemption. So my kids always qualified underneath that. I always filled out the paperwork for them to be qualified underneath that. But,
Which is ridiculous. It should be a philosophical exemption. It should be just no. But if we're going to do that, there should be at least a philosophical exemption as well.
Yeah. So it's like, there's some things I'm like, okay, if you travel a lot, if you're into, going to third world countries.
This is not medical advice.
Right.
Do your own research.
Exactly. That they're, like, okay, but for me, my child in our situation, she's not going to be using intravenous drugs at, 2 years old.
So she doesn't need a hepatitis B. She doesn't need 4 hepatitis B shots before first grade. So he signed this order that says that's lowering the dosage, right?
Now, and I didn't realize this because my kids have been out of the vaccination stage for a long time, is that it went from 11 vaccines to 72.
So it's doses. So it's 17, I think it's 17 or 18 different virus/diseases, and then they dose them multiple times. So if 72 is if you give your child the flu shot every year. So if you add that in, because that's an optional one, but it's the combination of the required ones and the optional recommended, strongly recommended, and the HPV, that equals up to 72. So it could be less, just for clarification. And that's doses. So that includes like if you get like MMR, which is one that he talked about, that counts as a 3 shot. So that counts as 3. So it's dosages. But yes, it's insane. It's absolutely over the top. And they give the same dose to a baby that is 7 pounds to a baby that is 12 pounds. Even though if you're going to give your child some type of like Tylenol or something like that, you do it by weight, but they don't measure out any type of vaccine. So that same 6 pounds.
Every child is treated the same.
Every child is treated exactly the same. They don't take family history into account or anything like that. And you will get kicked out of doctor's offices if you don't do it. I know people who kicked out of doctor's offices, can't find a pediatrician. In California and in New York, you can't go to public or private school. There's no exemptions. I'm sorry, there are medical exemptions, which are very difficult to get because they arrest doctors who give them. It's insane. It's a crazy world. I mean, there's a whole podcast on that. But so he signed this order that is lowering the recommended dosage, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I read through the executive order, but he just signed this yesterday. So there's still information that's kind of coming out and how this is going to be wrapped up. But they're splitting up the MMR. They're making it into 5 instead of like 1 visit. It goes to 5 visits. They're putting them over time. And they stopped the COVID, Hep B. Those ones they stopped altogether. They're no longer required. And there was a couple other things about a couple of the other ones that was very interesting to
For the record.
Learn.
People who don't know, they give a hepatitis B shot to newborn babies in the hospital on the day of birth.
Yep.
Just so you know what we're talking about. If you're like, oh, that's not, no. They give 1 hepatitis B dose to the newborn baby, and then they give another hepatitis B dose in the 1st year of life, and then another by the 5th year of life, I believe. I can't remember exactly when in that time period. So by the time a baby goes to school, to kindergarten, a child goes to kindergarten, they've had at least 2 to 4 hepatitis B doses. Sexually transmitted disease. Right. And the reason that they did that was because the manufacturers needed something to do with the vaccine.
Yeah.
Not because there was a Hep B epidemic amongst the children.
Right. Well, I think above all else, this exposes the vaccine industry. We've been saying for a long time that this is just a way for these pharmaceutical companies to get rich and make money, because if they're mandated and then we have to pay for them, well, they're free for us, right? But the government has to pay for them.
Or the insurance companies
or the insurance company.
And they have no liability. So if your child does get sick from it, nobody's liable.
Yeah.
Nobody. The government is.
And, it was very interesting because when I started this research and I don't want to get off too topic about as far as local, but when I started to really do my research and what was, when SIDS became more prominent was, in the 1970s after vaccines were being more encompassed and added to the schedule, and SIDS has just kind of gotten increased over the years. And, the correlation was there's no correlations. Babies just die. And I just remember my heart hurting so much by hearing that. I'm like, you injected something into a child, and within a few weeks, this child is dead.
Days, sometimes days,
sometimes
within 12 hours.
Hours.
And they put it on there as SIDS.
Yeah. And I'm like, we have a great nephew that passed away from SIDS, and I'm like, this wasn't SIDS. It was like literally 2 days after his vaccinations, and I'm like, this is not right. This is not okay. And my kids get, like, why don't we just get that? My kids were always like, why don't we just get them? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I am fighting for you.
You don't understand. You'll understand one day. No, that's good. No, it's really good. I think, and then locally we had a couple of interesting too. Sorry, I know because we need to wrap up soon. There were a couple of big zoning decisions at the county commission.
Yes.
There were 2 meetings back to back, literally like Tuesday and Wednesday, where they were in there for like 11 or 12 hours, like crazy town meetings, just to vote on something that was up in Jupiter Farms. They voted no on a school that they wanted to build there. Just the property didn't support the project was the reasoning. And then they voted to continue the process to transmit for the MSTU for the sheriff. So did we talk about that in the last episode? I cannot remember. Okay.
I think right at the end is that you kind of mentioned that there was some information that was coming out.
Yeah, so that came out. So I'll go real fast, and then maybe on our next episode we'll talk a little bit more about it. But basically what it is currently every single resident in Palm Beach County pays taxes. We pay taxes we've talked about this, to the county. We pay taxes to our cities, and we all pay the same millage rate. Everyone in Palm Beach County. And out of that money, it goes into what's called the general fund from the budget. And from the general fund funds all of the constitutional offices, like the sheriff, like the supervisor of elections, like the property appraiser, so on and so forth. So the sheriff actually takes the largest chunk of the budget by far, like more than all the other offices put together.
$1 billion.
Yeah, a little bit over. He wants more this year.
1.2.
Yeah, it's like I think 1.1, 1.2. Yeah, exactly. $1 billion with a B. And he, but then if you live in a city like I do, I pay my millage rate to the city of Boca Raton, and the city has a police office, a police department. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. I almost said jurisdiction. A police department that gets paid out of our general fund. So I'm paying for 2 police departments out of my taxes, and I don't get the sheriff's services the same way that someone who lives in unincorporated does. When I call 911, or God forbid I have to call 911 and I need a police officer, the officer that responds is going to be from the Boca PD. So my tax dollars are paying, that's my police officer. If I call the sheriff's office, they're going to call Boca PD. So what the county is looking at doing is doing what's called an MSTU, and it's taking the sheriff out of the general fund and putting him in his own taxing district with his own millage rate that is then set by the county. So the county sets the millage rate for him, and so he collects the taxes directly from the people. So it becomes a line item on the tax bill, as opposed to just being to Palm Beach County. It'll say Palm Beach County, and then it'll say Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And so what that will do is that it'll create some separation so that I won't be taxed. I won't have that line item on my taxing bill because I don't live in unincorporated. And so it's going to cause the sheriff's office, not, whoever's the sheriff at any point in time, if this passes, to have to justify his budget to the people rather than to the commissioners. Because right now the commissioners have to sign off on his budget. So if they are not he has to tell the people
technically they can't, they have to sign off. There's no authority. There's nothing that they
can't
really
redline his budget.
Right.
Because they also don't know the lines in his budget. Correct. He hides a lot of things in his budget. So there's not really a red line. So he'll have to have full budget open to the public because now it's a direct taxing district. So the commissioners voted to go for what's called transmittal, because anything like this has to go up to Tallahassee for it to be approved by all of the ordinances from the state and all these things and blah, 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 blah. So that was voted on. It was a very, very intense conversation amongst the commissioners because the commissioners who represent the unincorporated are going to probably see the residents' taxes go up a little bit in unincorporated, but it really is a much, I hate to use the word fair because it's been so overplayed, fair and equitable, so overplayed. But this is actually truly a much better use of the words because I'm not paying for someone else's services, which is essentially what's happening right now. And I'm using I as the example, but anyone who lives in and the people who live, just the last thing, and then we'll wrap up. A lot of people would say, oh, well, I live in a city, but we contract with the sheriff. The sheriff is our police officer. Well, that means you're paying twice directly to the same people. So you're paying to the county to pay him for his budget, and you're paying to your city, who's then paying him to be the sheriff to be the police department in your city. So you're paying twice. So either way, it needs, I think it's an interesting process and an interesting thing, because it's going to force people to pay for their services that they use, and and other people not to have to subsidize it. And it's going to force the sheriff's office, and I don't want to call out Bradshaw specifically, but anyone who's at any point in time who's the sheriff will have to be accountable for their budget to the people rather than to the county commission, which I think is good because it creates more separation. Anytime there's separation, there's more accountability.
Well, the thing of it is what this current arrangement between the county and the sheriff office it strong arms the conversation. It doesn't make it where they're in collaboration and they don't have to work together. So this then completely separates it and says to the county, to the sheriff, like, okay, we're not managing you anymore because you don't want to play by our rules. You go and do your own, and then you're accountable to the voters.
Yes.
And I think that makes things very clean and clear, and definitely it's going to cause taxes to go up in unincorporated because of the money that comes in now comes from everywhere. So they're going to
subsidizing it.
Right. So you're losing a big chunk of your tax base that goes into that sheriff's budget at, $1.2 billion. Now, I've said this many times, we have over $500 billion of property value here. So when you look at $1 billion to help protect, a $500 billion worth of property value, when you look at it, it's very minuscule, but still at the end of the day, it's $1.2 billion.
Well, and not only
how
that,
much money, I mean, like, I would like to know, like, what does it cost to, like, protect a small country somewhere the size of,
Palm Beach County.
Like, I can't believe that it would be $2 billion.
I'd be curious to see what the budgets of like sheriff's offices and stuff like that are in like small states, like states that are smaller than our county. Because there are states that are smaller than our county. But it's because the thing is too, is you have to remember a lot of that $1 trillion, $500 billion worth of property values, how much of that is in cities that are protected by police departments.
Right.
So is the sheriff protecting $500 billion worth of property?
Right.
We'd have to run those numbers. So just to kind of note too, there are a couple things that the sheriff does for the entire county, which is police, which is the jail system and the judicial court system. So that wouldn't be affected. So the county right now is looking at debating on hiring a consultant or using county staff. So either way, they're going through the process to look at actually how much money it costs for those things, and then that will stay within the county budget because we all pay for those. So they'll separate those things out. So it'll be the judicial coverage by the sheriff, and the jails will still be paid for by the general fund, and then the rest will be the patrols, the 911, the responsive type of process. The deputies, all of that kind of stuff.
It's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be very interesting
how it would iron out, because there's going to come a time where it's like, oh no, that's not me, that's you. No, that's you, that's not me.
Well, I mean, they have that a little bit now too. So like if Boca PD needs help, then they call the sheriff in. There's a contract, so they pay for that every time. So that wouldn't go away either. So there's still going to be that collaboration. It's just going to be more clean with how it's paid for, I think. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. Like, we'll see. I mean, it's still very much in the theoretical process.
I don't like the idea of if it's separated, but the county pays for the jail, but the sheriff oversees the jail. I would be very curious on how the accountability happens there.
Yeah.
Because then there's no accountability to the sheriff. Like, the county wouldn't be able to say to the sheriff, like, you're doing, like, you need to fix this.
Well,
or-
that's where like there's some
Yeah.
like there's some things that need to be. That's why I'm saying it's
there's
still in
some
the.
and then what questions?
No,
that
there
need to
are,
be
and for sure,
answered,
and that's
but-
why I was like, this is the idea. It's like very much in the beginning process of the process to do this type of thing. So it's something to be paying attention to know. Especially,
I think it's warranted,
So-
and I think it's definitely something,
either way, I think it's going to cause more transparency.
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, we're 2 years into Bradshaw's term. He more than likely he will not run again. In
that's
28.
not what I've heard.
Oh my goodness.
That's not what I've heard. Now rumors are flying, so who knows?
I mean,
He's his own rumor mill. Like
Yeah.
there has been so many rumors that
well, he wants to make sure the rumor goes away that he's dying, so he's going to say, oh, I'm running in 28 just to keep it going.
just to
probably.
keep. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
That's,
what I've heard.
that's why Trump's running in 28 too.
It's
It's
true.
like-
Let's just let them both run. Let's for grins and giggles. Just
but especially if these changes, I see him bowing out real quick.
it'd be
He'll
interesting.
be like,
Be interesting.
you figure it out then.
It'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that's oh, and then the last vote so that was all on one day.
Yeah.
And then the next day was Project Tango, which was
Yeah.
the data center. So they voted after 12 and a half hours of meeting. They voted down the changes. So there still could be a data center that's built there because they do have property
As
rights.
planned. It would have to be as
It would
planned.
be as planned, exactly. So they voted against changing all of the different things in order to allow
It was
for
giving them like 800,000 more square feet or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then
80,000
there's a
square feet.
moratorium on data center requests for a year, so that the county has time to put together a zoning
Yeah.
requirements and plans.
Is
for
what was
them.
really good. I think it was Commissioner Woodward that she was like, look, as far as like approving this, you're trying to say that this fits into this box of our ordinances of what's approved and what can be here, but this is not that.
Yeah, that was
And she-
basically it.
And
This
she
is
was-
not that.
Yeah, and so she was very clear about that. She was like, but this is not that. That is what is allowed. This is not that.
And therefore,
So-
we need to decide on what to do with this because
Right.
we will have this requested. So we need to create. This is a new thing that needs to be addressed.
This was what was brilliant. Is the fact is that she stated the case of being able to say, like, okay, this is not that, but this is coming. So why are you telling me that I have to approve this because it's not that? Because it's not that. Why not give me an ordinance that matches that?
Right. And that's where they're at right now. So it got voted down, so it's not happening. And now they're like gonna work with county staff to figure out, okay,
Which is what I realized is I was like, this is how the Democrats have done it for so long, is that they push things through and make it, well, it's kind of this, it's not quite this, but it's this. And then you wonder why we get all of this shit at the end of the day of like, how did this happen? How do we have, infrastructure that isn't infrastructuring? How do we
isn't infrastructuring. I like that. That's a new word. Yeah.
it's like how do we have buildings that are falling down? Like, how does this happen? And it's because they allow to do things without actually correcting what needs to be done in the moment. They just push it through or kick it down the can and wait for somebody else to take care of it. And I'm very thankful that now we have some, and I want to say it's due to our hard work, not just mine and Josie's.
Yeah.
There's a whole team of us that have really working hard in Palm Beach County to saying, like, these are the problems and we need to get the right people in the right positions, making the right decisions to be able to fix these issues.
So vet your candidates.
Vet your candidates, yes. We had a candidate forum at the last JCRC meeting that was absolutely phenomenal.
Candidate Expo.
Expo. I said forum, didn't I?
You did.
Expo.
It's okay. We'll allow it.
It was a candidate expo. It went so well that the party is actually thinking about doing 2 of them in the general election, one south and then one north. So we'll keep you updated on all of that kind of stuff. Josie and I are on the board of the Judeo-Christian Republican Club, and we do have a meeting coming up on August 19th. We are going to have Toby Overdorf speaking, who is one of our state representatives that was actually the committee chair on the tax amendment.
It's gonna be interesting
To lower the property taxes or to increase the tax amendment. What is it called?
Save,
it's the
exemption.
To save additional exemption on your homesteaded properties. So Toby is actually going to come and speak to us and answer all of our questions.
All of our questions. Does he know how many questions we might have?
I don't know, but he loves being in the line of the fire, so it doesn't bother him at all.
All right,
I think he's always stayed and answered all of our
questions.
So what was really great about Toby Overdorf too is he was actually the one that pushed the bill to return cursive writing back into schools.
Oh, did it go through?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So now our children will be taught cursive writing so that they can actually read the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And so I thought that was really awesome. So I want to make sure that he gets kudos for that, because I just think that was a phenomenal bill.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Because mine were already learning it, but
like because you taught them.
No, they learned it in their private school.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they taught them in their private school, and they. Well, that's a whole other problem. Don't even get me started on the clocks. But they actually, one of my daughter's teachers actually did require them to also write. They had to write like a little paragraph paper on why cursive was important, and had to do an analysis on why they needed to learn it before they learned it, and as they were learning it. So they had to talk about why, because of our founding documents and blah 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 blah. So no, that was points for a private school.
Yeah, I had no idea. My daughter is 23. She writes in cursive, but she was a lot of her younger friends and stuff don't even know how.
How do they sign their names?
They literally text, they write it text writing.
Jeez Louise, all right, we probably should wrap up before I start trash talking things.
School board is on the ticket. So
yes.
August 18th, we have 2 school board races. We have school board 6 and we have school board 4. Those are very important races. I'm going to go out on my own. We've had a guest of the show, Daniel Sabata. He has been on the show several times. He is running for school board 4. We highly recommend him, to do your research. He is a great candidate, and he's just a great guy. He's just so great. Nice guy.
Very passionate.
Very passionate, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And he's just so smart. He really wants to bring trades back into schools and really get our children up to grade level reading and writing and arithmetic. And then we also have Wanda Schofeld that's running in 6. She's phenomenal. She's an educator. She actually comes from New York, but she actually helped start, and most people, not this lately, but the last probably couple decades, New York school systems couldn't be beat. They were the best.
They were the best.
They were the best of the best.
They always trash talked our Florida schools for reasons.
And she was in the leadership of that when all of that was happening.
New York schools were really good.
Yeah, so she has all of that knowledge and that foresight, and so she can really see what's needed in Palm Beach County. So if nothing else, we can flip 2 school board seats if we come out for Wanda.
That gives us
and Daniel.
4. That gives us the majority.
That does, which gives Matthew Lane and then Gloria Branch some more teeth to be able. And Brill is swayable. I don't care what people think or what they say, but she's swayable. So she will, if you have a good argument, she will follow through and she will fight for you if she thinks that you have a good argument. Yeah. So we have an opportunity to do something really special in our school board system. So please vote for Daniel Sabata and Wanda Schofeld. Rosario Sheffield, I believe is how it is. Wanda. Just go for Wanda.
Just go for Wanda. All right.
All right. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. You can find us on Instagram, X, and on Facebook at We The Locals or We The Locals FL. Our website is WeTheLocalsPodcast.com. You can find links to our channels, contact information. You can donate to us if you like our show. Please give us a couple dollars. We'd love for you to help us keep the lights on and getting you up-to-date information as quickly and as best as we can. You can email us at WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com. Again, WeTheLocalsFL@gmail.com. Have any questions about our show? Want to sponsor our show? Have any questions? Want to be a guest? Feel free to reach out to us. Have a great night, everybody, and be sure to stay local.
Bye.
Bye.